Welcome to Solo Sailing with Trev White. Today we're going to talk about my recent sail from Picton in the South Island of New Zealand to the Great Barrier Island in the North Island of New Zealand, just off the coast of Auckland. It's about 50 mile away. So a few days ago I decided the weather was crap in Picton. Had the first ice on the ground, slipping over trying to go to the pub. So I decided I got a decent weather break. I was going to make a run for the North Island and slightly better weather. Been waiting in Picton to try and get a weather window to sail to Tahiti. However, this Canadian chap I was talking to, he'd been waiting for 6 weeks. So we were both of the mind that it's probably time to go north. And I think my thoughts of trying to sail to Tahiti are becoming harder because the weather's just not letting up for a sail across to the southern part of French Polynesia. So now I'm starting to look at Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, maybe even go up that way and then come back down to Tahiti, but still need to do a little bit of planning and get these things straight in my head. But yeah, I left Picton 5 days ago. It's a 545 nautical mile trip. It took me 4 days. So yeah, we left Picton, sailed out through across past Wellington, rounded to the east coast, and yeah, we sailed north for several days until we got to the Great Barrier Island. And so I think we had the first night as I sailed around the Cape Polsa, which is just on the bottom of the North Island. Second night would have been off Gisborne somewhere, and the third night was just around the East Point on the east coast. So it was probably a little bit before that, but yeah, rounded that cape and near Cape Runaway. It became dawn. So, and then we had one more night, not far from Great Barrier Island, and I got into the Great Barrier Island at about 7 o'clock, I guess. And so overall, the trip was pretty good. We did have storm conditions, had 56 knots. That was the highest recorded wind. I was sailing with the wind, so I was expecting a southerly. That's why I left in a hurry to jump onto that southerly. So initially, when I left Picton, it was a beautiful glassy day, motored all the way out through the pass and down past Wellington. Started to get the wind, picked up 20, 25 knots, and the wind died again as we rounded the Cape on the east coast and started to sail to the north. The wind started coming in, and at about 2 in the morning, I got the first taste of the Southerly Buster. Sadly, I hadn't reefed enough. I should have put my third reef in. I was goose wing sailing, so I had a jib and the main, and I had the main probably the second reef in, and we just started getting overpowered a bit too quickly. Had to drop the mizzen, so I've got a ketch. So when you start getting wind from the stern on a ketch, the mizzen is a little used to you. So drop that, so it stopped rounding us up, and stop that stops making the autopilot work so hard. And then I pulled out the jib to starboard, and I had the main out to port, and I generally put a preventer on the end of the main, tie it forward and back to a winch so that can't jibe accidentally. But yeah, as the wind increased, it was easy enough to fill in a little bit of the jib and reduce sail, but I had to put another reef in. So, and it's always at night. It's always crappy conditions. But with a fully battened main, I had to try and get it down. And it's not always easy by yourself in crap conditions trying to reef. So somehow I managed to tear the main, which is not fun, but whereas it's second section from the top in the third reef. So it's not a huge rip, but it will need to be repaired at a sailmaker. And I've just been doing that this morning, is ringing around, trying to find a sailmaker in Auckland, and can't seem to find one. So I started ringing a little place called Whangarei, and I found a lady up there, UK sailmakers, and yeah, they can do it. They've got some time. A lot of boats have left to go north already, so they said they can fit me in and do a couple of repairs. So she also mentioned there's a little place called the Town Basin, which it's not far from them, about 2 blocks apparently. And if I can get a berth in there, then the grocery store is basically a short walk from the marina. So that's fast becoming my new plan: is to sail to Whangarei. Never heard of this place. I'm trying to find other repair places to do some repairs. I need some engine parts. Apparently you can't clear customs there, but you can clear customs at another place called Marsden Cove, and that's near the entrance to Port Whangarei. And then the Town Basin where the sailmakers is about 30 miles away up the river. So the sailmaker recommended that I don't go to Marsden Cove initially. I just go straight to the Town Basin. It's a couple of hours up the river, motor sailing. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Overall, the trip wasn't too bad. I've got plenty of food on board from Picton. Starting to sort of get ready for the trip north. Well, I think it's going to be north now, probably Tonga or Fiji, but maybe Tonga. And yeah, overall, the trip wasn't bad. The autopilot, I managed to start tuning the new autopilot. It's an electronic head for the existing heavy autopilot that I've got on a chain-driven system that runs to my mechanical steering. So mine's a 50-year-old aluminium ketch built in Holland and has this truly over-engineered rack and pinion style steering, which I absolutely love. It's bomb-proof. Excuse me. And I recently had the steering arm rebuilt by Anchor Engineering in Nelson. They are fantastic guys. If you ever need any work done in Nelson on your boat, go to Anchor Engineering. Can't recommend those guys enough. They are brilliant. Super helpful. Really, really helpful. I'd also, snapped the Aries wind vane off the back of my boat, and they made up some new brackets. They allowed me to use a workshop and repair the wind vane because they didn't have any apprentices available to, or tradies available to do any work. So that saved me a fortune, and it was just good to tinker away in their workshop. But yeah, those guys are great. But anyway, the sort of rebuilt steering and rebuilt autopilot is now working really well. Steering the boat in 50, nearly 60 knots of wind, downwind, in big seas, crap conditions, and it's doing it effortlessly. It is using a lot of power. I mean, my autopilot, which is based off a Nico, which is a 50-year-old autopilot. It's the original engine, motor rather, and it works like a Trojan, like it's over-engineered. I could probably steer a 100-foot ship, but it steers my boat really, really effortlessly. And but it does use a fair bit of power. So 10 amps an hour is what I'm using, and probably at times even more. So I spent quite a bit of time trying to tune it and make it work less, adjust my sails so that the autopilot's not fighting. And I can probably get it down to about 5 or 6 amps. Just less sail. Still probably averaging 8 to 10 knots half the trip. I was doing pretty well. I was scooting along for quite a few days. I stormed for 3 days. So in those heavy conditions, I cover a lot of ground. My boat, 10 knots is top speed. Normally when I'm sailing, I'm doing sort of 6s and 7s, sometimes 8s. But yeah, running downwind, 8 to 10's pretty comfortable. And then when we rounded the East Cape and started heading to the west across to Auckland, the wind died completely. Basically got around, blowing its ass off. Trying to get around there in the middle of the night, dodge ships, dodge fishing boats. Visibility was a bit garbage. You get around the corner, you're hoping to get a nice stiff breeze to push you all the way into Auckland, and no, it died. It was like glass. So so then I was back to motoring, and I only motored about 5 or 6 knots. So yeah, we lost a lot of speed, but that was all right. Conditions were beautiful. So just threw a line out the back. Didn't catch any fish, but it was relaxing. That big bay. It was really glassy, sea fog conditions at times. It was quite picturesque. So where was it? The Bay of Plenty, I think it's called. And I can imagine back in the day when the first peoples came to New Zealand from the Pacific, they would have found New Zealand to be a very giving environment. Lots of food, lots of fish, lots of produce. It would have been a little paradise. Cold little paradise, but still a paradise. So anyway, we got up into across the Bay of Plenty up to the Great Barrier Island, where I've decided to get some sleep. So I had a sleep already, and I'm up just talking shit and taking in the view. And at the moment, I'm sitting in the cabin. It's a bit echoey. I need to get some soft furnishings in here. But I came into Tryphena Bay, which is, I think, how they pronounce it, but everything in New Zealand is pronounced a little differently. I'm still getting my head around it. I anchored in the northwest of the bay, so I rounded Bird Island, and then there's a bunch of little boats, little and large boats near a boat ramp, and I anchored in about 3.5, 4 metres of water. Well, in fact, I didn't anchor. I picked up a mooring. There's plenty lying around, so I figured I'd just help myself. And no one came in to kick me off, so I don't think anybody was terribly bothered. So I had a really relaxing sleep. The conditions were perfect. You could hear the birds in the distance. Yeah, got a good sleep. Got up, had a bit of brekkie. Sitting in the cockpit having a coffee. It was just fantastic. It's a beautiful place. I'd like to explore a bit more, but I need to keep moving. But I think the other side is a ferry wharf, and there's a shop and stuff over there. But conditions are sort of blowing onshore over there, so it just makes it a bit more challenging to me. It means I'd have to throw the dinghy in the water, the outboard, motor across, and I don't really need anything from the shop. I'd only be going to the pub. But I can do with a couple of days off the booze. So I'll have a beer instead. Tomorrow morning I think I'll do a bit more research today, but I will probably plan on going to Whangarei. I haven't been able to find anybody in Auckland to do the repairs, and typically big cities are a pain in the ass. It's hard to get around. You've got to go and hire a car. From the marina to the sailmaker, if I can find a sailmaker, and then getting any groceries. I have to clear customs in Auckland. I'm leaning towards Whangarei or even Opua to clear customs. So that's fast becoming the plan. I think it's probably about a what would it be for me? Probably a half-day sail across to Whangarei, I think. Might be a little more. I'll need to sit down and plan it, but it's not too far. Maybe a day sail. I was looking at the charts. Once you get in through the harbour, it takes large ships, so it's very well marked. It is tidal, so I need to make sure I get the tides right. Otherwise, it'll be a bit challenging. But once I get in, I can either go up into Marston Cove, and get a berth in there, or I can turn to starboard, and there's a little bay up in the north, and I can anchor in there. Or if I've got enough time, if I get all my tides right, and I can get an incoming tide in the river, I might be able to get all the way through to this town basin. I have no idea how big Whangarei is. I mean, never been there. It sounds like it's a bit of a creek, but I'm hoping it's not too shallow, and hoping I can get all the way up there without running aground. But obviously boats go up there, and there's a marina there. There is also a little bridge, or lifting bridge, for vehicles, so I need to sort that out as well, try and understand how that works, and whether they've got timing. So yeah, need to probably want to get another night's sleep, and then I'll leave probably dark 100, sail across, and yeah, try and sort the tides. Well, hopefully I'll get decent winds, sort the tides to get into the river, make sure I've got an incoming tide to get up the river, or at least a slack water tide, a couple of hours each side. To get at least halfway up the river, that would be handy, otherwise you're just fighting it the whole way. And some of these rivers can generate a fair bit of water. And then try and get into the town basin. And yeah, Sailmaker is 2 blocks away, well, about 400 metres, they said. And there hopefully be a few shops up around there. But yeah, I do know there's a supermarket, so that makes it really attractive. So yeah, I think that's going to be the plan. I'm also talking with crew, so I'm talking to Justine and Pierre, a French couple, who were keen to sail anywhere, I think, but somewhere in the Pacific. So keeping them abreast of my plans and where I am. They're down in Auckland. They were going to come down to Picton and help sail up the coast, but that didn't work out. So yeah, I'm letting them know tomorrow where I'm going to be. There was some Norwegian girl called Jolana, I think, who is keen, a Kiwi girl, and a UK girl who found my girlfriend's post on Facebook for sailing. I don't have Facebook, not interested in it. It's too gossipy for me. So, but anyway, that seems to be productive from a sailing perspective. So yeah, Rianne put a post up there, and there's quite a few chicks responding, and a couple. I guess chicks are on Facebook. So yeah, crew is starting to come together, and once I get up to Whangarei, I will meet with Justine and Pierre, who are almost confirmed. We'll sit down, we'll spend a few hours together, make sure that we're compatible. It's at least 8 to 10, 12 days to the nearest island in the Pacific, so need to be able to get along. Need to do a big shop, and the more people we put on board, the more food I need to buy. I need to do an engine service, sort out the water maker, and make sure the power is working. Generally, the boat's in pretty good shape. I put a lot of work into the boat down in Nelson when I arrived because I had so much damage. And the engine's still smoking like a pig. I need to, at some stage, do the valve stem seals, or maybe even get the head off and redo the head. But overall, the engine's super reliable. I mean, this is an old 50-year-old BMC Thornycraft. It's a London Black Taxi engine back in the day. They were also on a lot of canal boats, so that's why it found its way into my boat in Holland. It's basically a tractor engine. It's noisy, clunky, but it starts first time every time. It's reliable. It uses bugger all fuel. It's about 2.5 litres an hour, and really easy to work on. I mean, I've rebuilt the injector pump myself. I've rebuilt the water pump. I've rebuilt I haven't done the fuel pump, but that's on the cards. The water pump was rebuilt. yeah, there's lots of parts replaced, so at some stage I just need to sort out the engine valve stem seals, which will stop oil leaking down into the head, so when I start it won't smoke so bad, which looks a lot worse than what it is. But generally, once it warms up, the smoke goes away. But I'm not sure that's going to get done here because I need to find a decent mechanic, and typically an older mechanic who's used to working on these old simple diesels. Even a tractor mechanic would be fantastic, but mechanics are hard to find, or at least blokes who will work on an old engine. So that's one of my challenges, but I do need to get engine parts. I need to get fuel filters, oil filters, oil. I mean, I'm probably planning at least one oil change or 2 oil changes. So I want to get a couple of sets of filters and maybe 10 litres of oil. I take about 5 litres per oil change, which is not too bad. So I'll put that on board. I'll put an extra fan bolt on board. I probably need to get a fuel. What else do I need to get? Fuel pump maybe. Got quite a few spares on board. I've got spare hoses and all that, so it's not so bad. Need to check on my charts for wherever I plan to get to. So I've got some big ocean planning charts, which is what I work off, and then I need to make sure I've got enough Garmin digital charts, and then make sure that my Navionics covers anything else. And then I need to possibly download from charts off Open CPM, which is a free program, but it hasn't been working too well for me. So if I get the time, I might have a look into that. But at least I like 3 different sets of charts. That way I have redundancy. And the problem when you go to the islands is not every set of charts covers all of the dangers, particularly reefs. And I find that having at least 2 or 3 sets of charts plus Google Maps and Google Images allows you to look at things, particularly if you can look at your digital charts and put a Google overlay on top of that, or even side by side, and just get an idea if there's reefs in there that you need to consider as you're coming into places, or even just on a transit. So yeah, they're the plans at the moment. There's plenty of work to do. Getting the main sail off is a complete pain in the ass. Got to get all the battens out. I need to get all the cars off. Probably need to get new cars because I don't think they're as effective as I would like. I'd like to get heavier slides as well. I've been snapping slides. That could be to do with the cars as well though. So I need to talk to the sailmaker about that also, making a bit of a list as I go along. Probably get them to stitch over my jib, getting a couple of wear marks in it. I mean, it's been stitched over about 6 times now. I mean, every time I finish a big trip, before another one, I take it into the sailmaker and I get them to restitch the seams. My heavy weather jib is 40 years old. That'd be sacrilege for a racing sailor, but this is a cruising boat, and the jib is heavy. It works. It might not have the greatest shape, but half a knot doesn't make any difference to me. But it's a super heavy material, and it can be fixed by anybody, anywhere, as long as you've got a heavy duty sewing machine, or in some cases, me hand stitching it, which I did halfway across the Great Australian Bight when I blew it out. In fact, I blew the clue out of it, so I had to hand stitch all that, which it still managed to do another 6,000 miles before I had it repaired. And then once we get up into the Pacific, I'll change over to the Genoa. And again, the Genoa is actually in really good shape because I think it's set in the sail locker most of its life. It's a 40-year-old sail, probably 120%, has nice form. I think it's hardly been used. The Genoa that was on the boat when I bought it had to be cut down to a jib because it was damaged, because someone had left it on the furler, and it got UV damaged, sadly, because it was a nice sail, but it's now my lightweight jib. I have a staysail that may need to get a little bit of repair work done, and yeah, I think that's where I'm probably also going to put a bit of extra rope on the chain. I don't like, having been in New Zealand, I don't have enough chain. I have 50 metres of chain, and that wasn't enough for sorry, not Milford Sound, Marlborough Sounds. It was quite deep down there. So if you go in there, make sure you've got 100 metres of chain. So I'm going to add probably 60 metres of rope to the chain that I have, and that will give me a little bit more comfort going into the Pacific, or at least anywhere around New Zealand whilst I'm here. I think that's where I am. So I'll go and tidy up around the boat. Might talk to a few more crew and start doing a bit of planning today. Well, at least plan to get to Whangarei. Whether I leave late tonight or early tomorrow morning, I'm yet to decide, but I need to sort that out in the next couple of hours. I need to probably get a bit more sleep, cook up a decent feed, do a check around the rigging, make sure everything's in good working order before I sail off. I think we've got a little bit more shit weather coming, so lucky me. And yeah, I look forward to getting some crew. I mean, I like solo sailing. I enjoyed solo sailing from Nelson. It was actually a really nice trip. Like, it was blowing its ass off at times, 50 to 60 knots. But, boat was just doing it really easy. Like, it was just shorten sail, cruising along. It's a bit rolly. I managed to get some good sleeps in. The AIS was picking up the ships. I mean, I had one close encounter with the ship. Absolute wanker was just... He just looked like he lined me up. I still can't work out what was going on. And in the end, I had to contact him about probably 4 miles out and tell him to divert to starboard, and I would divert to starboard also. Because I didn't have, a lot of speed. I was probably rolling around 6 knots. It was pretty lumpy. That's all I could do. Turn to starboard, get a bit more of a reach. For him, it was a piece of piss. And thankfully, he responded and changed course. So that was probably still would have cleared me, but I still don't understand why ships have to get so close to boats. I mean, I've got an AIS transponder. I am sending out a signal telling boats where I am, and some of them seem to be attracted by it. But another disaster averted. Some of the fishing boats here seem to carry AIS, which is nice. I like that. A lot of fishing boats in Australia don't, which is frustrating. But I do my best to be visible. I mean, I have the boat lit up like a Christmas tree when I'm sailing at night, particularly around ships. I have all my light, lower lights and upper lights working, and just try and make it as easy as possible for ships to see me and to not run me over. And then I have my AIS guard alarm on at 2 miles. I have my radar guard alarm on at 2 miles. So hopefully one or the other will work. It's generally the AIS picks up the ships first, because in lumpy conditions the radar doesn't seem to pick up ships as effectively. In flat conditions it does well, but when it's a lot of clutter in the water, it tends to not see ships as well. You can pick them up on the radar, but the alarms don't seem to work as well. Maybe it's just me, need to tune it a little more effectively. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the trip. I felt really comfortable. 5 days just cruising along in my own world, listening to music, thinking about where to. I think Tahiti is pretty much scratched. The weather out that way is still just absolutely garbage. It's I haven't seen such consistently bad weather for a long time. Like you go west from Picton or west from Christchurch, 3,000 miles, and you end up in the southern islands of French Polynesia, which is where I wanted to go, clear into Cuspins, and then slowly work myself north through the islands to Papati. So that ain't going to happen. no. And but I met him in all the issues with French Polynesia. You got to stake bonds if you have crew. You got to stake bonds for them. I'm reading more and more about French Polynesia and people having reasonably bad experiences. I think it's a hangover from COVID and too many boats got stuck there. The locals seem to have a bug up their arse about yachts, even to the point where they're taking out mooring fields. So you can't anchor, but you can't. There's no mooring fields as well, so you can't do the right thing and try and protect the environment because they've removed the moorings that yachtsmen were relying on. So it seems to be they don't want people, but they're just not willing to tell them. So maybe I'll go and spend my money where people want me. I know Tonga had suffered from a recent volcano and tsunami, so I think it wouldn't hurt to go and spend some money up there, see how the locals are. I mean, they're lovely people. I like Tongans. I think they're really great, good nature. Same as Fijians. I mean, beautiful people. So I think that's the way to go. Head north into the sun, go and visit some nice people who are easy to be around, see some sights, go do some diving, maybe see some whales, and drink some beer. Generally, that's what life is all about. That's why I'm sailing. And most of the time, I'm solo sailing, or ideally, I still like to go with crew. I like to have crew for periods of time, but as I tell everybody, if you've got a boat and you can't sail it by yourself, you are kidding yourself, because sooner or later your crew will disappear or someone will get sick or injured and you will need to sail the boat by yourself. So learn how to do that. Have the resources on board to make it easy. So not one autopilot, but two autopilots. Be able to reef by yourself. Have a system so you can monitor vessels. AIS, I think, is the best money anybody can possibly spend on an ocean cruising boat. If you haven't got it, you're a fucking idiot, in my opinion. I think it is the best thing since sliced bread. I still have a radar. If I had to choose, I would choose AIS over a radar every day of the week. However, the radar does come in handy in whiteout conditions, in rain. It can prove very handy. But I think I have waffled on enough. I need to go and do some work around the boat. I need to cook some dinner, or probably lunch actually at this stage, and enjoy this beautiful setting. Maybe even read a book. So thank you for joining me. I don't know if you've learned anything. Maybe listen to my bullshit. But I enjoy just talking about sailing, and I get a bit of feedback that some of the topics are worthwhile from people, and it gives me something to do. So if you get something from it, by all means give me some feedback. Take care, and thanks for joining us at Solo Sailing with Trev White.